Hi, my name is Anna Grace Browning, and today I will be talking about a business that I would like to start. So, a business that I would really like to start would be a plant nursery. Over the course of the summer and early in this fall semester, I have visited several plant nurseries around the Jackson metro area and around the Hattiesburg area, from local nurseries like Martinson's in Ridgeland or Adams Plant and Garden in Petal, or to even Lowe's Garden Center or Home Depot Garden Center. Um, and I have developed a passion for plants. As you can see in the background of my video, I do have my beautiful Monstera deliciosa plant. So over the course of this quarantine, I guess you could say, I've developed a love for plants. It's become a passion of mine. And when thinking about this assignment, all throughout reading the articles, that's really what I was thinking about, really what I was trying to relate the concepts of big data to um, in terms of like a plant nursery. So one thing that I was thinking of when it comes to big data was um, when it was talking about big data being relative to the size of whatever company or firm that you're dealing with. I thought about like a plant nursery. If I were to just start out opening a plant nursery wherever I decided to live, it would probably be one location, and it would probably be um, a small nursery compared to, say, Lowe's Garden Center. So the amount of plants that I would have would be relatively smaller, and the inventory of plants that I would have would be smaller compared to, say, that of Lowe's. Whereas Lowe's has a numerous amounts of plants, both outdoor and indoor, I would probably have a smaller variety of indoor plants and outdoor plants. Indoor plants are my passion, so if I were to just open a plant nursery, I would probably start my focus on indoor plants. I have a passion for the rare plants, the harder to get plants. So my inventory would definitely look different from that of like Lowe's or Home Depot or even Walmart Garden Center that tend to carry the more basic plants like peace lilies or monsteras or Chinese evergreens or pothos plants, which are literally everywhere. My inventory would look very different, and the amount of data that I would have would be relatively smaller because I wouldn't carry as many plants. So that's what I kind of related the relative to size thing to. If I were to open a plant nursery, it would become big data for me when it became beyond the limit of my capacity for my computing system. So like, let's say I had my information system could only hold a certain amount of plants. So like, let's say I had the capability of having or keeping track of like 200 different kinds of plants and 10 varieties of fertilizer. Well, Lowe's has about 20 different kinds of fertilizer, 20 different brands of fertilizer, and numerous, probably 400 different types of plants, ranging from different types of succulents to different kinds of turf grass. So if I were to try to sell the amount of variety that Lowe's has, my computing systems would not be able to hold that much data, and that's where I would get big data. I can also use big data to help me make decisions in what kind of plants that I stock, when to stock my plants, different times to water. If I know that if I use weather data for my area and for the surrounding areas, I can know when to water. If there's going to be a drought, I know that I need to water my plants more often. And if the temperatures are going to be higher, the soil is going to dry out faster, which means that I'm going to have to water more and I'm going to have to use more water. But if I know that it's going to be raining every day for a week, I know that I'm not going to have to use as much water, but that can also tell me that I can bring my plants inside so that they won't get waterlogged and get root rot from being waterlogged. So I can also use data to, like I said, to stock my different kinds of plants. So if I kept track of the kinds of purchases that people buy, I can see what kind of plants they tend to gravitate toward. So let's say that I have both indoor and outdoor plants. If I have customers buying more indoor plants than I have customers buying outdoor plants, I know that I can widen my variety of indoor plant inventory to stock and sell rather than spending so much money stocking outdoor plants. Or let's say that I have varieties of more rare plants that are more expensive, and I have varieties of rather common plants and smaller plants that are relatively more inexpensive. If my customers tend to gravitate towards the more inexpensive plants, then I can know to stock more common, inexpensive plants rather than stocking more expensive, rarer plants. I can also use text rewards programs to track customers' purchasing habits and whether they're willing to use coupons. I can use their phone numbers to track generally where they live, and in the rewards program, I can get their addresses, or even just like the city that they live in, so I know how far they're having to travel to get the plants, how far my company's reach extends. So I can use the text programs for that, or so I can see how far my company's reach extends, which enables me to stock plants that do better in a certain region. So let's say that I am selling fruit trees as part of my inventory, and a lot of my customers live in the South. So say Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida. Citrus fruit trees like lemon trees, lime trees, orange trees would do fantastic in the South. Well, let's say my customers are traveling from North Dakota, Washington State, Michigan, colder areas up north. Citrus trees don't do well up north, so I know to not stock regional plants that are regional to the South if most of my customers are coming from the North. I can stock plants that would do better in their regions, in their zones. And I can also use customer background information to know whether I'm having people that are just coming for recreational purposes. So like me, I just buy plants because I love them, and I like to look at them. So I buy beautiful indoor house plants, and I sit there and I look at them. Well, some people come to buy seeds and starter plants like tomatoes, squash, zucchini, watermelons to plant and create a garden. Maybe they're planning on selling those in the future at a farmer's market. If I know what kinds of customers that I have, I can use that information to better stock my nursery. So along with that, I can be capturing the data manually by asking customers to sign up for rewards programs, getting information from questionnaires and surveys, or I can be gaining information automatically as I scan the different plants that are being bought. This can also help in the accounting purposes for my company. If I record all the transactions as they're scanned through, inventory is continuously updated, and when I go back to send information to external auditors or even to do the accounting myself, so I can use that information in the accounting process by keeping track of inventory and keeping track of all the transactions that occur within my business. So one thing I do have to be careful of is the concept of correlation not meaning causation. So So there may be a correlation between the start of summer and people buying more plants, but that doesn't necessarily mean that people are going to buy more plants. Generally, generally summer means hotter weather, means it's time for planting and it's time for a lot of these plants to grow. But let's say that we have an unusually cold start to the summer for some odd reason. People are not going to buy as many plants. And if I bank on the correlation of summer and people buying more plants, I might lose some money because I might stock plants that nobody is going to buy because there's an unusual cold front. So I think that's one thing that especially small businesses need to be aware of, because you can make decisions that may actually harm you if you don't really look into the cause of the correlation between data. I think when it comes to using customer information, um, rewards programs are a good way to do it, but privacy can be an issue, especially if you're using their phone number to track their location or if you're using their address data. So it's very important to keep in mind that privacy is a big issue and it needs to be something that is taken very seriously. Um, I think big data can also help in the accounting process tremendously, um, from like the capturing of data to the using it to record financial statements. And I think it's a really exciting field to be in. It's expanding, and I think that's really cool. So, um, but through this, I was kind of thinking like when you think of big data, you generally think of like big companies like Walmart or NASA, but like small companies, like if I were to open a plant nursery, we can use big data. We can use big data to be successful and make better decisions and to aid in the accounting process, save money, save time, um, better help customers, which I think is the most important part of a company is to help the customers. So that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching.